Hello and welcome to another edition of Beyond the Blueprint podcast. I'm your host, Jeff O'Donnell, and joining with me today is Pablo Jendretsky, owner of Jendretsky LLC. Thanks for being with us today, Pablo. How
Very
are
good.
you?
Thank you, Jeff.
Good. So let's kick things off. Could you tell us a bit about your role at Jendretsky and how you got started in the construction business?
Well, I am the owner of Jendretsky, that's my name, um, which was founded in 2004. It's basically a design consulting firm that includes design and management of architectural projects, interior design projects, sometimes landscaping projects, and basically, just to give you a picture, I am a licensed architect in Argentina, and then I have a master's degree in architecture from Pratt, and then a master's in business administration from New York Institute of Technology. So I was always interested in both the design side and the construction side and the development side. That's why I did my master's in business. And so since 2004, we've been working on mainly, I would say, residential projects, high-end residential in places like New York City, Hamptons, California, Argentina, Uruguay, and we're a little spread all over the place right now.
Right.
And
No, that's excellent.
Go ahead.
So now looking at the broader industry, what are some of the biggest shifts or trends you're currently observing in the construction market?
Well, I can tell about my niche, right? I do mostly residential, but high-end residential, which means there are usually clients who are not too concerned about whether the interest rates went up or down, and I call them, bulletproof or say construction-proof places like, the Hamptons or Saint-Tropez or Aspen. Somebody who's considering building a house in Aspen is not worried about whether the interest rates went up or down. They are going to build their house regardless.
Right.
So I'm lucky
Yeah.
to have landed into that niche. And so but at the same time, I feel like although it's predictable because these kind of clients don't worry about the economy, it is a little bit random. It's not because I'm going to read the newspaper and now the interest rates went down and the economy is good and then people are going to pour money into construction, because my kind of project doesn't really get affected by that. So it's a little bit random whether I get a project or not. It's basically more about marketing and being out there. In terms of the trends for that market, which is residential, I think the big change was during COVID. Half the population started working remote. Suddenly everybody needed an office. Husband and wife both needed an office. The kids needed another place. So suddenly the office there were rooms that were converted into offices. And for the new projects, you had to have an office as a new type of room. Usually in the past, people would have a nook or have a little corner in the house that they somehow conquered, and they set up a desk. But now you have to plan it in advance because both parties want to have their own private space, especially because they speak on the phone, they want to be private. And so that is, to me, in terms of architectural changes from before, what I can say it's happening now. Yeah.
Okay. And so does that directly impact your business then, the changes you just spoke of?
Not my business really. It's just the way I describe to the projects how I distribute the spaces in a residence, and they're happy to hear that one takes that into account. Aside from the fact that they asked you for it, I don't know if I guess also, I can say the way it changed the industry is that I guess as a business owner, you want your employees to be in the office. These days, when you hire people, especially the younger ones, they demand that some days they can work from home. I mean, some people just want to work
Right.
remote, which is not something that I would accept. But still, when you negotiate a contract
Right.
with a new employee, they basically ask you straight out, so how many days am I allowed to work from home? So I had to kind of rethink and incorporate that into the equation, although I wasn't happy with it, because I still think that it is more efficient to all be under one roof. And sometimes, the question comes, there are days that maybe I don't have any interaction with certain employee, one or two, or whoever they are, and they probably think, I could have totally been at home today, because I didn't even have to speak to Pablo. But that's not the point. The point is, if something
Right.
comes up, I can just turn around and talk to somebody, or go to the office
Yeah.
next door. And when somebody's at home, you need to plan to call them. They need to pick up the phone. 50% of the times they don't pick up the phone. Uh,
Right.
Most of the times they are at lunch or not, right?
Yeah.
So it's,
Right. Right.
it,
So they're impossible
I
to get
guess
a hold
the
of
trust
them.
becomes more of a topic. You need to trust them 100% that they're sitting there doing work.
Right.
Anyway, that's one of the things that I think changed.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's definitely a big change for sure. So is that affected your hiring process
Yes,
then?
it does. Um, yeah, it did,
Okay.
because in many times I am about to hire somebody, and suddenly this topic comes up at the end of the conversation, and then I realized that these people were expecting to work remotely 100% of the time. I said, well, that doesn't work.
Right.
So that's, but I think it's a little bit shifting back. I sense, because I have read articles of big firms like J.P. Morgan or other firms that not necessarily are architecture, right, are across the whole board, that for the
Yep.
most part owners prefer employees to be at the office, and I have the feeling that
Right.
it's coming back to, I mean, never going to be just like before, but I think there's a tendency now that we're going back to the office, and I'm sure that has an effect on the real estate market of offices. I understand that
Right.
after COVID, 22, 23, there was a really big portion, of the city, I mean New York City, that was vacant. People have moved out, and
Yeah.
people have moved out, and the offices were not filled, and a lot of people actually moved out of the city. That's why anywhere
Oh.
anywhere more suburban picked up on prices. I
Right.
understand, in Long Island, for example, places like Southampton, Watermill, doubled in price. Even the rents went up
Wow.
by 100% or so, and then they came back down
Yeah.
slowly. So that gives you a parameter of what's going on. People are going back
Right.
home.
No, that's interesting. So what would you say is currently working really well for your business?
Well, we're a design-oriented firm, right? We're focused on design, and what works well for my office is we design always with a little bit of daringness, or however you call that. We always try our projects to be a little edgy and different, and
Right.
we enjoy doing that, and that's how I think we are now at the stage where I'm not sure you can call it that we're more well known, but definitely I can sense that people are calling because they think that we're going to propose something not usual and more daring, and the design has been that weapon, and I'm not using it as because I want to. It's just the nature of the way we design. We're pushing the design always to the limits, And that's basically what has brought more clients to this office. And I'm lucky because that's usually
that's
what,
good.
I think anybody getting into the architecture business doesn't think, oh, I want to be an architect because I want to design warehouses, right? Or nobody
Right.
gets into architecture to, envision working in an office doing window schedules for 30 years.
Right.
Your dream is to be able to have projects, if possible, your own projects, and be able to express your creativity all the way. And so
Right.
that means that in an ideal world, you have your own office, you have the projects that you like to do. If you ask me, of course, I would like to be designing maybe bigger buildings, hotels.
Okay.
But I'm very happy because
Yeah.
residential work is a really, I don't know if any type of project gets more personal. When you're designing a home for somebody, every little aspect of the house becomes personal, becomes, dramatic. There may be a client
Right.
whose interest in, moldings is very high. So you suddenly are 3D printing little crown moldings on baseboards and door casings according to the liking of the client, and you suddenly get passionate about a detail so small. And
Right.
but I mean that can also be, it's a double-sided knife because it's residential and because it's so personal, people get really passionate about it, especially the clients. They have very
Yeah.
strong opinions about things that sometimes are not so important. And,
Right.
some people have said that they would never work on residential work because clients get so involved in projects that sometimes can be, stressful. Let's put it that way.
Right.
But at the same time, knowing that you're doing something that is going to affect their lives so much, whether it's, a color of a wall or the design of a room, is going to make them so happy or not. It's a responsibility that is big, but
Yeah.
I like the challenge, and that's why we spend a lot of time doing, probably more work than we should be doing according to the accounting, just to make sure the clients are happy and that they see what they're going to get into. So I guess that's
Right.
just to talk about the design passion for things.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. So on the flip side of that, what areas are you finding most frustrating in your business?
I guess, and interestingly enough, I'm writing a book about this, right? Not because of the frustrating part, but I think some projects, all projects get to a point where there is fatigue, right? The relationship between an architecture firm and a client starts as a honeymoon, right? The first meetings, you talk about design, you talk about wishes. People have this laundry list of
Right.
things that they like, and you talk about them, and the question is, so can we do this? Of course you can. You can do this, you can do that. And so they get excited about what's the potential of this house. So that is, by definition, the most exciting part of the project on their side, and then comes schematic design. You start throwing ideas, and that's super exciting because we have, a free range of design, come up with, interesting things, showing them to the client. They get excited, they change it. So all this schematic design part is again a continuation of the party. And then the question starts, but and what do you think this project is going to cost? Well, let's talk to the builders. And then builders start saying, well, your project is going to be about $1,200 a square foot. Given the renderings that we're seeing, $1,200 a square foot. What are you talking about? Oh my God, this is crazy. We cannot do this. Okay, so let's scale back. And then the conversation now turns
Right.
less fun, and then you basically try to, negotiate their wishes with their budget and the technical aspects of things that may be more complicated than others, and the restrictions of the site and the restrictions of the, say, architectural review board or the different agencies that have jurisdiction they start putting limits. The budget puts limits, and so the more complexity that gets into play, the more opportunities there are for things that are not so much of the liking of the client, right? But
Right.
and as you advance on the project, our part becomes then less fun, because now we're, say, to develop the project, you need to grab what was a schematic idea, and now we need to give it realism, right? Okay, the windows, these 12-foot windows, what are they? What brand name are they? What are they, like aluminum? Are they wood? Are they sliders? Are they casement? So you
Right.
need to start talking about real things, real numbers, real complexity. Does the waterproofing work if you do it that way or not? So the conversation is less fun, and also for the client is less fun, and less fun for us, because now it's real, and now it's like more stressful to make sure that the drawings are accurate, right? Now
Right.
now a mistake on the drawing has a cost. So my biggest
Yeah.
stress, and you see, funny how you asked me the question that you know where I was going, and now I realize that my biggest stress is really to have a full set of good construction documents that have everything that was discussed, everything that the client likes, technically accurate and proficient enough that are not going to generate a problem later. Because it's very possible that the
Right.
builder looks at the drawings, wants to get the job, sees little things there may not be perfect, and gets into the project. You sign a contract and sell your building, and then 4 months into the project he says, well, this is not on the contract. I said, why is not on the contract? Well, because your detail doesn't really show, or doesn't really express that the paint needs to be VOC or something. Well, I mean, it wasn't that
Right.
obvious from the conversation here, but it's not on the plan, so it's a change order. Change order is the bad
Okay.
word in our profession. Clients don't like change orders.
Change order?
I don't like change orders. They exist, they happen,
Yep.
but it's the one thing that deteriorates the relationship between the architect, client, and the builder. So you try to
Right.
avoid those. So anyway,
And how often do you see them?
depends on the project. It really depends on the project. It really depends a lot
Okay.
on the builder, on the relationship you have with the builder,
Right.
and also depends on the type of contract you have with the builder. There are projects that are, say, a lump sum or cost plus, and depending on how that contract was written, there may be more of a pad in the numbers that the builder may not send a change order because he feels he's protected by the budget. But
Right.
say cost plus by definition doesn't have change orders, because what they're saying is that we're going to bill you what the project costs plus a fee. So it is what it is. But it's
Right.
also tricky, because from the client's point of view, they want to see what their project is going to cost at the beginning. They say, give me a contract, what is this going to cost? And they tell you, well, this cost plus. Okay, but tell me what is it going to be? Well, so they give you a number. This project is going to cost
Yep.
this. Now, this number is not a fact, it's a target, they tell you. That's where we are aiming at. 2.3.5 million or whatever, with like cents.
Right.
But they know that's going to change, because inflation is going to go up. Who knows? Maybe it rains 3 days in a row. You had people at the job site that didn't have anything to do, so it gets delayed. There are many reasons that are not the fault of the builder that may make that a project is more expensive. So it is what it is.
Right.
But so overall, this is what I started to say, that over my 40 years, I think it's almost 40 years of me getting involved in projects, mainly residential, I've seen everything. But what I've seen is patterns of where clients get frustrated, where I get frustrated, or where clients get, a jolt of happiness, or they're really excited about something. And so I started to write this book draft about that I think would be the good guide, or maybe just a an insight into what it is really to get into a construction projects, especially your own home. So it's a book
Right.
about, before you're going to go build your house, you might as well read this, and I think
Yeah.
it will give the project a much higher chance of succeeding. And success, to me means not that the project is super beautiful or whatever. It's that it accomplished what the client wanted. They're happy with it, and
Yeah.
when they move in, everybody's in a relatively cordial and good relationship. That to me is a success.
Nice.
But I give you an example. There are, one of the chapters is called the threshold, and what I mean by that is, what is the threshold of a client of how many things can be not perfect before they really lose it? Because I've seen clients
Right.
about to lose it in terms of patience, and one day that line was crossed, and from now on it's like they don't trust you anymore, they don't trust the builder, they're not happy. And so I always try to avoid
Right.
that threshold. So it is
Yeah.
as simple as, okay, how many things can go wrong, or maybe less than perfect, before you're going to be unhappy? And I'm sure if you ask them, they'll say, well, like 10, 15, So the key thing is to define what is something that is not perfect for the client. Are we talking about a stain on a wall? Are we talking about the handle of a window that is, the wrong finish because it was supposed to be brushed brass, but it's now polished brass? Is that something that's going to upset you? So the calibration and that conversation as to what is it really, give me an example of what is it that is going to really piss you off. I mean, of course, there are big things. If something went wrong and, something broke, or I don't know, there are big things that can go really wrong, like a beam is the wrong size and then it's a big expensive fix it. Of course, those are errors that are big. But there's all these little things
Right.
that count against eroding your patience. And it could be a stain on the wall. It could be a door handle. And then I'm saying, okay,
Right.
how many of these things could happen in a project? And the number is staggering, and that's the problem. There is no way
Right.
anyone can handle or can make sure that all of these items are going to be right. The number is like
Right.
this. Just talk about windows. What things can go wrong in a window? Well, I'm looking at a window right now, right? You have the width, the height, the depth, the frame, the material of the frame, the material of the jamb, the paint. Is it finished? Is it not finished? Is it double hung? Is it, I don't know. I can talk to you about 20 different things that could go wrong in one window. But these things can go wrong in this one window, but not on the other window. Therefore, how many windows do I have in a house? 40. So let's say 20 by 40, you're already at 800 items on windows that could go wrong.
Right.
But I say more. When I say the frame, I don't know, maybe something went wrong on this square inch at the bottom of the frame, but really the frame is 96 inches tall. So it could be any of those inches, right? What about the walls? I mean,
Right.
maybe that square foot is right, but that square foot is wrong because there's a crack on that paint in that corner. So you start counting
Yeah.
these items. Just imagine the doors, the windows, the air conditioning, the radiant flooring, the wood, the casing, I don't know, I can just general items, I can tell you 4,000 items. And each one of those 4,000 items has all the square footage that apply to that item. So without any exaggeration, I could tell you there are about 800,000 items on a project that could go wrong, that the client could
Yeah.
be unhappy about. So
Yeah.
as a coordinator of a
That's
project,
quite
how
significant.
do I make sure that doesn't happen? It's possible. So what
Right.
do? You manage your fee. It's like, how do I spend my fee and manage the risk to a point where I can maintain this relationship? maintain the number of
Right.
items that can go wrong to whatever number, maybe the threshold. So for me, the
Yeah.
important thing is have that conversation with the owners, with the client, explain them that the numbers are in the hundreds of thousands, and the threshold can really depend on what their understanding of something not perfect is, and
Yeah.
and that has had great result in my business, because I have that conversation at the beginning, and they find it funny because of course they give them examples, and I had
Yeah.
a client who we had to install some wallpaper. Wallpaper comes in rolls. They install them, rolls one next to the other. And if the wallpaper is all of a field, a color, doesn't matter, there's nothing to align, right? It's just all a field of color. But in this particular case, the pattern was this very, very busy vegetation thing. It was all flowers and plants. So the little branch that was going from one sheet to the next had to match, obviously, so that the branch, so it becomes kind of the pattern.
Mm-hmm.
The client comes to me and says, look at this. And I'm looking at it, and I don't see anything wrong. And he literally goes this close to the wall and shows me that these two lines are not aligning by 1/16 of an inch. I'm like, okay. I just
Wow.
truly did not know if he was playing a trick on me. And he wasn't.
Right.
He really thought that was a screw up and that he would have to live with it. And he was unhappy
Wow.
about it.
Yeah. So it's all about perspective for
Absolutely.
sure. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is calibrating the perspective would be a really great way to set the project on the right foot, and expect things are going to go, not perfect. And,
Right.
So anyway,
Okay. So we'll go back to the topic of material waste. You had mentioned what's considered waste can depend on who's looking at it, right? So how do you define material waste in your projects?
well, there's a very factual thing that actually has a very standard clause in the AIA contracts. What do you do with, say, waste of a finish that is expensive, right? And we purchased marble or limestone for a project, and the builders, especially the fabricators of stone, they always like to have a 20% waste on purpose, just in case a slab would break or a tile would break, or a tile would be not perfect. They have to cut corners, and as they do their work, they expect that there will be breakage, that there will be the need for more material than the actual square footage that I can measure on the computer or on the walls, right? And
Right.
most times, this 20% is more than they really needed. Maybe there was a waste of 5%. So what
Yeah.
about this 15 or 10% of material that is left? And this clause is specifically written in the contract so that it's defined. Is it the builders or is it the clients? Some clients don't care. They're like,
Right.
just take it. But some clients are prudent enough. They say, well, I want to keep the boxes that are left over in my basement, because one day when, something needs to get fixed, I have enough material. And it does happen to me.
Right.
It did happen to me in projects that I did a renovation for. They come and say, look, we have to redo this bathroom, this side of the bathroom. I go, sure.
Right.
The problem will be to find the exact stone that you had here, because this is a limestone, it's natural stone. All batches come differently. So, oh, no, we have boxes in the basement. Fantastic. Yeah, it's a
Perfect.
really great thing.
Yeah.
Also you want to make sure that it's not a tool that that is used. Some builders actually, if you don't put anything on the contract or say anything, they'll just take the material and may just sell it to another client. So in a way, of course, they're going to tend to buy as much as we can
overstate their, yeah,
while the client is paying.
right,
Anyway, so you can look at waste from many different points of view. I find also sometimes waste is not necessarily a material, a physical material.
mm-hmm.
I think in construction there's a lot of wasted time. I'm sure I can give you examples, but there are, the different trades like the plumber or the painter or the stone installer will definitely go to the job site when they have the work to do. They have the material, the walls are framed, time for the plumbing to come in. They have very specific things to do. But there are also workers that have less specific things to do. They are at the job site, they are there to help, they're there to clean, they're there to do, general, miscellaneous framing. I don't know, they're there. And sometimes they don't have much to do because, they're waiting for some trade to finish their job before they come in and protect it or whatnot. And so, it's very important that this resource of manpower is managed well, because you may get bills on labor that are undefined that may raise the construction cost, and maybe a little better management of those people would have saves a lot of money, because as you know, I would say 50% of the cost of a construction is labor, and another 50 is materials. Roughly.
Right.
It's very, very important.
Yeah, absolutely. So now looking ahead, where do you envision Jendretsky being in the next 6 to 12 months?
Pretty much doing the same thing. We have right now 10 active projects, and we're working on them in different stages. So, like I told you before, I am enjoying the schematic design on 3 projects right now, which are really fun. One of them is a house in Southampton Village in the Hamptons. Then we're working on a couple of residences for a developer in Riverdale on the Hudson River, so also the beautiful design. Then we're working on a crazy development in Panama, in the country, Panama. There's a 400-acre, or actually no, sorry, 400-hectare eco resort that includes the design of a hotel and the bungalows and the distribution of the lots. So it's a lot of fun because the client has asked us to design it in bamboo, all bamboo construction.
Oh, really?
That's another way of thinking about our, construction, our architecture. You're not doing walls.
Yeah.
We're not doing, foundation, walls as we thought them. Walls and roofs became the same thing, and it's basically a mesh. So we studied how to design with bamboo, and it's been a pretty interesting experience. But in general terms, we keep doing the same things. I'm not sure this relates to your question, but because other people ask me this, and they have the perception that because of the projects we are engaged with are pretty, pretty daring and interesting, and places that seem fantastic, that we're doing really well. And so, when are you going to retire? You're good. I'm 60 years old. I'm like, I'm not retiring ever, right? Because I want to get to the stage where I can do exactly what I'm doing without the stressful part, right? Having enough people in my staff that I can really focus on sketching, enjoying the design aspect, and not have to worry about, construction follow-up and, doing contracts and whatnot. So.
Now, what is your current staff level like? How many staff do you currently have?
8 people, out of which
Okay.
3 come to the office, and
Yeah.
5 are remote. I have literally 2 people in Argentina, which is,
Oh,
it's
wow.
I'm from Argentina, so it was easy for
Yep.
me to find people there because of the exchange
Right.
rate. For a long time I was skeptical about doing outsource like that,
Yep.
but then it all came about. I needed somebody to do renderings, rather than hiring a renderer, which was $1,000 a render, $1,500 a render. I hired somebody
Yeah.
full time to do that, and that worked out. And then hired another person that was able also to do construction documents. So I have a little bit of a team down there. And then um, I have 2 people in Europe, interestingly enough. Uh, and
Oh,
those
wow.
were employees that were working with me, but then they moved for some reason to Europe. And initially I thought, well, that's not going to work. The time zone is not really going to be very convenient for us. But we kept on
Yeah.
working on discrete items, certain tasks. Can you do this drawing for me, and work on an hourly basis. And eventually,
Right.
the hourly basis is 80 hours a week anyway. So it's like, they're still working for me. Uh,
Right.
and then, yeah, so I have a few people running in and out, but it's, I would say, a mostly remote operation, and
Okay.
international, and different time zones,
Yeah.
different continents.
But by the sounds of it, yeah, definitely
Yes.
international. Now, are you content with kind of the size right now of the business and what you're doing, or is there room for growth or operational
Definitely
efficiency?
room for growth. Yeah. We're a basic, as you
Okay.
can imagine, everybody's talking about AI and how do you incorporate, parts of the process to make it more
Mm-hmm.
efficient. That we definitely are, using whatever tool we have for the obviously most basic one, which is schematic design. I mean, you can these days, especially renderers, you can model a project, and rather than spending a week trying to figure out the right light and material for a render, you throw it out to GPT, and in 1 minute it gives you an image good enough that you can show the client. I have actually had meetings on Zoom with a client, and in real time, they're saying, "Well, what happens if we did it this other way?" I'm like, "Okay, hold on." And then you
Yeah.
open another window, GPT is open, and you just throw the thing, and you talk to GPT and tell them, "Can you change the material and make it wood? Actually, make it walnut." While
Yeah.
while you're talking, the image is being created, and about a minute later, you can show the client, and that's something
Right.
that is really useful. Uh,
It's pretty amazing.
we're trying to incorporate that in, AI also in project management and accounting mainly, um, which we're in the process of working on.
Okay.
But still, I'd like my office to grow in terms of project scale, and if that means that we need more people, then too. But in my mind, growth is getting bigger projects or more interesting projects, or let's say
Okay.
more of the same interesting projects we're getting. Um,
Right.
so, and I think we're well set. We have a bunch of leads that we're working on. Usually, we keep our marketing effort very active.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's where we stand. Looking forward for more.
All right. Okay. Well, that's all we have for the episode of Beyond the Blueprint. I want to thank our guest, Pablo Jendretsky, for his insight and expertise. It's been a real pleasure. So, where can our listeners find you or contact you if need be? Okay. So that's JENDRETSKI.com. Oh, Z. Sorry. Yes. Um, Perfect. Okay. Well, Yeah, I'm your host, Jeff Woodall, and we hope to catch you on the next one.